Kansha, and today I'm going to give the presentation on the stock analytic dashboard. This dashboard is comprehensive analytical tool designed to study the stock related patterns, risk factor, and demographic trend. The purpose of creating this dashboard was to convert the data into the meaningful insights that can help in understanding stock prediction and prevention. So, this is a process. I also learned how to clean, transform, and visualize the healthcare. That I downloaded the data sets from the Kaggle, loaded into the Power BI desktop, and performed all the necessary data cleaning and transformation steps. After preparing the data sets, I started the building the visuals that highlights the key insights such as demographic, medical factors, and risk indicator. Once the dashboard was complete, I published it into the Power BI service for easy access, sharing, and attractive exploration. This demographic distribution associated with the stock in patient population of 4,909 individual. I will walk you through all the section of the dashboard overview, demographic, medical factors, and risk analysis, and explain each visual tell us. Let us begin with the overview page, which summarize the entire data sets. First is total in patient, which is 4,909, which gives the individual included in study. Then comes to the total stock cases, which is 209, which indicates that the overall stocks rate is 4.26%. Average BMI it is 28.89, which shows that the population is in the overweight range, which is known as the risk factor for the stroke. Then comes to the average glucose level 5.31, which shows that diabetes and diabetes, which increase the stroke risk. Then comes to the hypertension patient. Hypertension patient is 4,051 in out of 4,909 patient have hypertension, another major risk contributor. This is the visual. In this first, it is a sum of the stroke by gender. When we click on the female, it shows all the values of the female in the stroke of residence type and or the count of heart disease by the work type. When we click on the male, it shows the all those values for the person, where it comes for the stroke by the residence times, count of heart disease by the work type. Then we come to the stock of the residence time, and their total values and all the patient and all it shows. But when we click to the rural area, it shows the 47.85%, which is almost 50-50% in the stroke analytic. But in this, the urban population have a slightly higher stroke cases, possibly due to the lifestyle factor. Then we come to the count heart disease. Disease, when we click on this, it shows that the count of heart disease is 2,811, and mostly in the private area. When we come to the to self-employed, the values will show that the female, male, and what is the ratio of the stock residence types in urban area and rural area in the self-employed. When we come to the children side, then we see that in female it's a lower in the children. But in the when we click on the private area, it shows that the how many some of the stock gender in female comes and the male comes, and then comes to the stock residence times. It shows that 60 more than per in 61 per 31.58% stock value is there during the residence times in private area. From by seeing this, we can assume or visualize that the private employees have the highest count, followed by the self-employed. The this indicates that the workplace lifestyle may influence the cardiovascular risk. This pays a focus on the population structure, age, gender, material structures, and work type. These all the visuals in the in for the demographic. we can see the sum of the stock of a gender. This tells again tells about the female is slightly leading the male in the stock count, because when we'll click on the female, it shows all the values of the sum of average level of age, then the count of a stock by the married peoples, then the all the ID work type and the age and stock, the sum of BMI of the age and stock. But when we click on the male, it shows all the values of the sum of visualization of the sum of the average glucose level by age, count stock by ever married, and the sum of the BMI by age and the stock, or the count ID of the work type. In this, when we see it for the sum of BMI by age stock is by age and stock, this scattered line or visual shows how the BMI with the age for stock versus non-stock patient. By seeing this, we can observe or we can visualize that in the older patient with the stock tend have to have a higher BMI values. In this visual sum of average glucose level by the age. In this scattered line visual shows how the BMI changes with the age for the stock versus non-stock patient. Uh, some of the average in this visual, some of the average glucose level by the age, we can show that how glucose level fluctuate across the age group. And we'll see the zero, it's the people is in the zero okay, not no, more than the we can see the patient, but when the age is increasing and all, we can see that fluctuation in age group. We observe that the some older cohort have significantly high glucose level, which linking to the stroke rate. When we see the count by stroke by the ever married is in this, we see that is that married people have the 65.27% of the stock value, and unmarried, we can see that that value is 34.3%. And in this more the person in this say some of the stock more is female and the male, and these all the value for the not married ever married people. By this, we can visualize that the married people population is more larger, so naturally more stroke patient falls under risk categories. When we see the visualization of the count of ID by the work type, and we can see that the private sector, it's a more stock value in this mainly because the private sector employs for 57.26% for the data sets, and followed by the self-employed. If we see that for self-employed, we see that these data comes lesser as compared to the private. And the government employees, if we government, we can see that 12.6%, 12.6% it is. Then these all the values if we'll compare it, then the more we can see in the private, which help to understand the work segmentations. This page highlights the health related indicators such as BMI, glucose level, and age. Count of BMI by age and stock. We observe that the higher BMI values correlate in the stock cases, especially in 50 plus age range. If we see in the age between 0 to 20, it's lesser, but when we see the 40 to 60 means in between the 50, it's more higher in the value of the stock. When we see to the average glucose level by age, this line graph first shows that the average glucose level increase with the age. When we see the zero, it's normal. When we see in the age of 11, its value is 3,457.42. Then as we increases the age level, it increase with the age, the glucose level increases. Patient with the highest glucose level frequently fall into the stroke positive group. Means when we see into the age of 78, the glucose level is 10,876.3. It's higher as compared to other age group. Now we analyzes the major risk factor contributor in the risk analysis. Risk analysis we are going to contribute how the major in which is the major risk in this page. This we the count of a stroke by hypertension. Now, we can visualize that the bar plot shows the clear pattern in which the patient with the hypertension is stroke is value is a rank of one and the one count of a stroke rank, but which have a much higher stroke values, which means that the count stroke is 4,458, but in this it's around 451. By when we compare to non-hypertensive patient, it is a much higher stock count. So it is confirmed that hypertension as a major predictor. In the visualization of sum of hypertension and sum of stroke by age, two lines compare on how hypertension and the stroke vary with the age. We see that in the light blue it is sum of hypertension, and the purple color shows the sum of the stroke. But when we see it's a line graph, we can see that when we are increasing the age, the value of sum of hypertension and sum of shock is increasing. At age of 80, we can see that the sum of hypertension is 20 and sum of shock is 16. But when we'll come to the 60, it's the sum of the hypertension is 9 and sum of the shock value is 9 also. When shows that both the curves rise with the age, especially after 50, indicating the age as a high risk driver. When we come to the average BMI with the minimum BMI maximum and target value, we can see that the average BMI rate is 28.89, but healthy range is around 22. We can see it. Then this means that the population is above ideal BMI is increasing the risk factor. In the visualization of counter for hypertension by work type, we can see that in private its value is in the visual of a count of hypertension by work, we can see that the private count of hypertension is 2,811, self-employed is 775, for children it is 671, for the government peoples it's 630, and for never work it's 22. By this, we can see that the private sectors has the highest number of hypertensive patient, matching the earlier observation of a higher heart disease distribution. Conclude, this dashboard provides a comprehensive view of the stroke related trends in the population of 4,909 patients. From this dashboard, we observe that the stroke prevalence is around the 4.26%. Risk increases significantly with the age, BMI, glucose level, and hypertension. Female shows the slightly higher stroke count. Private and the private sectors work working individual carry higher metabolic risk, and the urban residents shows the marginally higher stroke cases. So overall, this dashboard help us clinically team identify high risk group, prioritize the preventive strategy, and understand the population high health dynamic efficiently.